Tina Hogan Grant here. What I'm doing is my regular Cuppa A Natter that I like to do twice a month on a Monday. I invite authors into my home and we talk about books, reading, writing, life as an author, and whatever comes to mind. And tonight, Jule Selbo is joining me from Maine. How are you this evening, my dear?
I'm good. It's you were mentioning snow just before. We haven't had snow yet, but I think we'll get it soon.
Do you get quite a bit?
Yes. And they were just telling me the other day that if you get a foot of rain, an inch of rain equals a foot of snow.
It's something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we just had a huge rainstorm the last couple of days. So we would have been like 4 feet high of snow, I'm sure, at this point.
Oh, yeah. What are your temperatures right now?
Oh, now it's actually very nice, probably in the 60s.
Oh,
but
yeah.
We've been down to the freezing already.
And what elevation are you at?
Oh, I'm at sea level.
Oh, you're at sea level and you get the snow?
Yeah.
Because we're at 5,000 feet. But last week it was like 75. And then this week we're waking up in the morning, it's like 40 degrees. Like, yeah, we might get snow this week. And I'm looking forward to it. I like getting snowed in for a few days. I do, especially when you had like a hot summer. So to just break away from that heat wave and just, I just want to stay home and light a fire and read a book or do some writing. I love it. I love it. So bring it on. But after like 3 or 4 days, it's like, okay. Okay, I need to go do some more stuff. I need to get out of here. But I'm really excited to talk to you about your books. I do want to say hello to a few people that have joined us. Tonight, I'm here with Jule Selbo. She's joining us from Maine. And I want to say hello to a few people. We have Karen Wright is here. We have a couple of Facebook users, which tells me you're in my group, which is private. If you want, you can hop over to my author page, which is not private, and I'll see your name. Or you need to click on the blue link above the video, and that will give StreamYard permission for me to see your name. But it's because you're in my group, which is private. My author page is not private, so it won't hide your name. Joyce Carol Martinez is here from Texas. Karen Geerling is here. Tina Rose, Vicky Passetti. Hey, ladies, I'm glad you're joining us. Darlene Johnson, Tina Atkinson. Thank you for joining us on Halloween. We were just saying, I wonder how many people are going to be here with it being Halloween night. So I appreciate it. Do you do anything for Halloween besides chat to me?
We used to have a big, huge Halloween party when we lived in Los Angeles, and everybody in the neighborhood would come, and then it became very popular, and people we didn't know started showing up. But we would go to the Los Angeles prop houses and get all the coffins and the skeletons, and so we would go crazy. And then our daughter grew up, and we don't do it anymore.
No, we don't either. I mean, I have grandkids, and if I go, as you say, off the hill into the city and spend Halloween with them, then I'll get involved and I'll go trick-or-treating with them. But they're 2 hours away. Yeah. And up here where we live, we don't have street lights. We have wildlife. So it's not a safe place for kids to even be out and do trick-or-treating. And what they do in town is they do like a trunk-or-treat. The businesses all have a trunk-or-treat. And that's what the kids do. And I think they did it this weekend. So it's quiet up here, and it's okay with me. But we are here to talk to you about your books, which I'm excited to do. But before we get into that, can you just give us a little background? You have quite the resume. I was reading your resume, but your bio on Amazon, and you have done a lot. Can you just give us a little taste of background?
Well, as far as my writing resume, I started as a playwright in New York City, and then I got hired to write for television and film, and eventually moved out to Los Angeles. I started in New York with Tales from the Dark Side, talking about Halloween, and Monsters with George Romero, who did Night of the Living Dead, and he was an amazing guy. Wow. And then I went out to California and I did some movies for different studios. One of my favorite jobs was working for George Lucas on Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Wow.
So I was a writer, producer on a lot of TV series. Some of the ones that maybe people would know are Melrose Place.
Yes.
And Life Goes On, and Flash, and Space Above and Beyond. And I did a lot of Disney movies too. I did Hunchback of Notre Dame Part 2, and I did Ariel's Beginning, which is the third Ariel. Those were directed DVDs. I did a movie with Sissy Spacek that came out in Colombia. And then about 4 years ago, I did that for 25 years, and it was so much fun and so great. but I really wanted to, as a kid, I always wanted to be a novelist, and collaboration in Hollywood is a lot of fun, but it can also be a lot of pressure and heartache and long, long, long days. If you're working on a TV show, I'd get to the studio at 6 a.m. and I'd get home at midnight. And it was like,
oh my goodness,
I don't know. I think that it's time for you to write your novels. So we moved to Maine because my husband's a big sailor. And I've been, so in the last 4 years, I've actually written 4 books. And I'm on my mystery series now, which was always the penultimate goal. And it's because I find that, I respect mystery writers so much because there's so many things you have to keep going and balls in the air. And I also love to write characters, and I wanted this character to be really interesting and exciting and have an arc. So I started with my series, which the first book is 10 Days.
10 Days.
A D. Rommel mystery. And that came out last year. And just a couple of weeks ago, 9 Days came out.
Congratulations.
And today I just got my Kirkus review, and it was a starred review. So
wow,
I'm so
excited on that.
Yeah, I was very, very excited. And so I'm going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, it's going to be a long series.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't start with 5. I don't know.
I see. And what genre is this series?
This is crime mystery.
Okay. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it's Dee Rommel is she was a policewoman in the Portland, Maine Police Department, but she got an on-the-job injury. And so when we meet her in 10 Days, she's in rehab on medical leave, trying to figure out what to do with her life because this is a life-changing injury. And she doesn't know whether she wants to go back on the police force, or her godfather is a private investigator in town. And he says, get out of your apartment. I'm not going to have you just sitting around. You're going to do my books. So she goes into his office every day and gets pulled into some of his cases. So at the end of 10 days, she has to decide, am I going to go back to the police force, or am I going to stick with Gordy and she have a wonderful relationship. I mean, they just get on each other's case, and it's like he's not a parent, because parents have interesting relationships with their kids, but he's a godfather, so he knows her so well and just doesn't let her get away with things. And at the same time, she can do the same to him because he's a crusty old guy. And in 9 days, she's decided to stick with him because he needs help. So she puts off making the decision about whether to go back to the police force or not, and is with him, working on a case with him. And I just love writing her. She sounds great. She's got a huge chip on her shoulder, but she's got great friends, and she wants to take care of her friends, and she wants life to be right for people. Mm-hmm. And she's not afraid of getting in people's faces, but now she has an injury that she always has to take into consideration. So she has to almost use her smarts in a way, a little bit more than a physical thing. I mean, she's almost 6 feet tall. She was an athlete. Wow. And now she just doesn't have some of those possibilities right now.
So before you started this series with 10 Days, did you kind of know the character before you started writing and her traits and everything? Or did it just kind of evolve as you were writing?
Well, I like writing, maybe it's just this desire for me, myself, to be able to just say exactly what's on my mind, and not like pull punches, and not be politically correct, and not be this and that and that. And so it's just a pleasure to write somebody who is like that. The way that I start projects is I tend to just sit down. Mm-hmm. And I have some kind of idea of the genre or what I want to do, but then I sit down and I start writing the character. Okay. And if the character comes alive and I want to spend time with the character, then it seems to go on into a book. And right off the bat, Dee just had an attitude. And I don't know. I mean, you're a writer, I mean, I don't know if it was my mood of that morning or whatever, but just off the bat, I just loved writing her. She just she's just very, very straightforward and fearless in a way that you have to be if you're really, really trying to get to the bottom of some, people who are doing bad things. So
right, and she'll be in every book of the series.
Oh yeah, yep, they're the D. Ramo mystery series.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Where is that review? That Kirkus review? I printed it out. I don't know where it is exactly, but the review said something about this is a character that you want to come back and find out what's going to happen to her next too, as well as you want to solve the crime.
And where did the idea when you wrote book 10, you obviously knew it was going to be a series because you said you're going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Well, the original title for 10 days was 10 Days to a Wedding, because this man comes into Gordy and Dee's office and says, I got this note from my daughter. She says she's getting married in 10 days. She's never had a boyfriend. She won't talk to me. She's disappeared. And I'm just supposed to show up at this wedding. And I want to talk to her before this goes down. So you have 10 days to find her. So they, a friend of mine just said, well, but 10 Days to a Wedding sounds like a romance or a chick movie, book. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll just call it 10 Days. So that's why it started at 10 days. And then when I decided to make it a series, I realized, oh my God.
And you found this out midway of writing 10 days that you were going to continue on and got the idea to bring it down to 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. And I hear so many times from authors that it's supposed to be one book and all of a sudden they're into book 6, book 7. So yeah, and I'm the same way. I tell my readers that I don't think I can write a standalone. Because all of my books are turned into a trilogy or a series.
Because the characters just get too interesting.
Yeah, as I tell them, they just don't shut up, I do want to just take a little pause and check out some comments from our readers. Again, I'm here with Jule Selbo. We're talking about her book, a series actually, 9 Days and 10 Days. And if you have any questions for her, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will try and get to them as many as I can. And I know you know this person. Hey, Tina and Jule.
Hello. Hi, Elgin.
Such a nice guy. He was with me a couple of weeks ago. I really enjoyed chatting. So, hi, Elgin. Good to see you here. When it came to 10 Days or any of your books, do you plot your books, or do you just kind of sit down and let the characters take over and write whatever they tell you?
Since they that 10 days takes place in 10 days and 9 days in 9 days, I think that I kind of have an idea, but then of course once you get into it, things change, or you realize, I didn't really plan beat by beat by beat by beat. And I'm finding with the 8 days, which I'm working on now, that because there's fewer days for her to solve a crime, I have to outline a little bit more so that I make sure that enough is happening in order to get her to the end of the story. But I'm kind of in between. I like to know a little bit about where I'm going. Right. Actually, what I'll do is I think I know what I'm doing, and then I'll take it 20 pages at a time, and then 50 pages at a time. And then I'll go, okay, so this next part has to happen in the next 10 pages. So I'll outline very quickly there, and then I'll see if I can make it happen.
I want to see what happens in one day. Yes. I'm already thinking one day. Okay. Let's get some questions for you from our readers. Karen Wright has a question. She says, what is your favorite genre to read?
Well, Karen, my favorite, and I think that's why I always wanted to write a crime mystery series or crime mystery series. I love Sarah Paretsky, Janet Ivanovich, Michael Conley, Agatha Christie, Perry Mason. I've read them all, and I just love them, and I love to stay with a character that interests me. So I will read. I read kind of widely, but if I really want to just enjoy myself and what do I take on vacation, it's crime mysteries.
Crime mysteries. And then Lois had a similar question, but I want to put it up. She says, do you like to read the same genre you write? Or is it that too much like work where you need another one to unwind and separate the author you from a more relaxed you?
Because I admire these story tellers and crime mysteries so much, and also they're inspiring. So, as a writer, sometimes you just, your head's banging up against the wall and you think, well, what am I doing? And if I can just settle down and read somebody else who's been doing it for a long time and does it well, that almost relaxes me, because I go, oh, okay, I see what they're doing here. I see what they're doing here. The reason I relax mostly by watching movies, because I still love movies, and that is a much more wide genre for me. I love historical fiction. I love,
me too.
Yeah. So I think the relaxing time comes from watching a movie or TV show.
Okay, and here's a good one from Karen Geerling. She's asking, can the series be read out of order?
Yes. I've been careful in the first two, 10 days, of course, is the first one. And then, but in 9 days, I was careful about catching people up to Dee and her situation. And the crime mysteries in each of them are standalones. So there's characters that repeat in the books, her friends and some things. And I will go back to some characters, I think, that were introduced in 10 days, just because it'd be fun to bring back maybe in 3 days or 4 days or whatever book. But yes, you can read them out of order and still,
won't lose anything.
Yeah.
I love that. I like that. I do. I think you know this person. I want to put up this nice comment. Come on. There we go. Jule, the terrific writer.
How are you? Oh, I just love seeing all your Instagram shots of you and your family.
Oh,
it's so nice to have you here.
Hi, Seth. Okay, Paula Miller, would you turn one of your books into a movie or TV show?
Well, I think D. Rama would be a great TV show. But I want to get a couple more books done before I, just because I want to, as I said before, screenwriting is such a collaborative thing that if you're actively on a TV show and in the writer's room and on the set, it takes up your whole life. So I don't want to go back to that life. Mm-hmm. If someone, after 8 days or 7 days go, yes, let's make this into a series, I'd go, great. Here it is. Take it. But I don't, I don't think that I would get involved in it.
In the screenplay?
I like my life here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One thing that's nice when you're doing fiction books is that you can pick your own hours. You work from home, correct?
Yeah, or from coffee shops.
But you can, when you're working on a movie set or a TV set, you have to be there, like you said, sometimes 6 a.m. till midnight.
Yeah.
Being your own boss at home, I'm sure you're loving the freedom of choosing when you'd like to write.
Yeah, and also because you're always getting notes from the director or an actor or a producer or the studio or the network, and they're usually very good notes, but sometimes the stories will take different directions than you originally thought. Mm-hmm. And here, if you're writing a novel, it's your chance to actually have it the way that you think it should be. My publisher, Panda Moon, is a great publishing company because they have really good editors. And I've been lucky to work with 2 different ones there. And they've just made the book better, but they haven't made it different.
Right,
So,
and they didn't change the story
yeah.
or the plot or anything like that. That's what, yeah, that's perfect. I wanted to ask you, when you worked with a screenwriter, as a screenwriter, say for example, a TV show or a movie, it wasn't just you writing that screenplay, that you were working with other screenwriters, correct?
Well, no, I work mostly in 1 hour television and then
Mhm.
features. So you are working by yourself.
Oh, okay.
But once you finish a script, you'll get notes from the network or the studio or the producer, whoever is the head of the production.
Mhm.
Um, and then depending on if you're working in television, the director doesn't have as much power as they do
Mhm.
in features. So you're not usually getting um, notes from the director.
Right.
Because the writers kind of rule the 1 hour TV series type world, where the directors more are in charge of or rule in the feature world. But so yes, you write them by yourself. I started in Hollywood on a situation comedy where there is much more give and take among the writers on the show. Like somebody will
Mhm.
go, "Oh, I have a funnier joke," or something like that. And I think because I started as a playwright, I was more comfortable like creating one script as a whole by myself and then getting notes and then doing the rewrites by myself.
Oh, okay. Fascinating. Fascinating. Um, with the books that you do now, do you write every day?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have to, otherwise I just lose. If I don't write for a day or 2 days, I lose 4 days.
Yeah,
Um,
you lose your momentum. I'm the same way, and I'm really hard on myself when I don't. I
yeah.
try and discipline myself, but sometimes it's hard. But then I pay for it a day or two later when I didn't get to write.
Yeah. And I get very grouchy if I don't
Yeah,
put in my hours.
yeah,
So
irritated, short tempered. Like I need to go right. I need to go right.
but I always think of Rudolf Nureyev, the ballet dancer. I read something, that he said a long time ago about if he didn't dance every day, he couldn't walk. So his muscles were so
Really
trained
makes sense when you
that
think about
he had to do his
it. You
dancing, his
dance.
movement every day in order for his body to work right.
Or your singer wouldn't have a voice if they didn't sing. They couldn't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Tina has a question for you. She's asking, are your characters based on people you know?
Um, some of them are amalgams. There's no R in there. Amalgams of people I know. I'll get inspired, like if I want to figure out how someone looks, because in novels, as opposed to television and film, you don't normally spend a lot of time in TV and film describing your characters because you're going to get the best actor that's
Right.
available.
Mm-hmm.
And but in novels, of course, you do. And sometimes I'll think of someone that I know and use and kind of try to describe that person physically,
Mm-hmm.
put them into that character. Sometimes a personality I will kind of like, grab from a friend, but no one's based on.
Not specifically.
Yeah.
And then the same, still talking with about your characters. Karen's asking, how do you come up with your characters' names?
It's interesting. If I'll just write a character's name, and if it doesn't feel right, I'll go back the next day and try a different name. And
Mm-hmm.
then every once in a while, I'll just go, oh, that's his name. I just did that with a character in 8 Days. I wrote him first, and his name was Rick, and it didn't fit him.
Yep.
But then I switched it to Dennis. That didn't fit him either. And this morning I started calling him Fry, and that worked. So his name's Fry now.
There we go. And you're happy with it? Is it F-R-Y?
F-R-Y.
F-R-Y.
Yeah.
I like it. Here's another. I wanted to put this one up for you. Grace is also in Maine.
Hey, where in Maine?
So Grace is in Maine. She'll let us know in the comments. So hi, Grace. Welcome. Jule is also in Maine. So let us know what part of Maine you're in. And Tina has another question for you. What other genre would you write if you ventured into something else?
Well, I have written a romance mystery called Find Me in Florence. That was the first book that I had published by Panda Moon. And it's about a woman who goes to Florence, Italy, to find out what happened to her mother during in the 1960s when the Arno flooded. Her mother was a mud angel. And that's a term that was given to people who, when in 1966, the Arno River flooded to catastrophic dimensions, and people came from all over the world, and they couldn't get to Florence because it was a mess. The whole city was flooded. And so they would hitchhike in as close as they could get, and they'd be given rubber boots, and they put them on, and they say, just start digging into the mud. And they would come up with artifacts and art and books and stuff like that they're still cleaning to this day in Florence.
Oh, wow.
So it was a really exciting story to write. And it was this woman, it's a fiction. That event really happened, but it was a fictional thing that I came up with. On her mother asked her right before she died, she said, "Find me in Florence." And she had always known that something had happened to her mother when she was a mud angel, but she never got the whole story. So that's kind of a mystery romance with a lot of historical stuff in it. And then I wrote 2 historical fictions, one about Laura Bassi called Breaking Barriers, and another about John Cabot, who's really Giovanni Caboto, who grew up in Genoa, Italy with Christopher Columbus at the same time. And John Cabot is why we in the States, especially in the Northeast, speak English, because Columbus went to work for the Queen of Spain, and Cabot worked his way into getting the patronage from the King of England, Henry VII. And so when he decided he had to go to England to ask if he could do this, he changed his name to John Cabot, because he didn't think the king would give Giovanni Caboto a ship. So I've done historical fiction. So I think if I go after I finish, when I get down to one day, I don't know, that's probably 5 years down the road, but I think I want to do historical fiction mysteries.
Yeah, I like that little history lesson you just gave us. I love that.
Because I love all the research. I love all that stuff.
I love reading historical fiction. I said it before, but I'll never write it because the research scares me. You have to be spot on.
Yeah.
And someone will call you out if you get something wrong. And for me, I'll read it. I think I'll try and write it. I'll chicken out on that one. Kathy is asking, where in Maine are you?
I'm in Portland.
Portland?
Yes.
I'm not sure where that is, but it sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it's in southern Maine. It's the biggest city in Maine. It's a real foodie town. Lots of chefs come here to start their restaurants, because if they can't afford Boston or New York, and it's amazing. It's so gorgeous. It's got a huge coastline, and there's art, there's theaters, there's museums, there's concerts. I don't know. It's kind of this beautiful little oasis here.
Cape Cod was beautiful. I've been to Cape many years ago. It's beautiful over there. Okay, I'm going to take one more question from a reader, and then you're going to treat it to a live read. I love hearing authors read. So
okay,
1 second. One more question before we do that. Tina's got one question for you. What was your inspiration for writing this series?
I really wanted to see if I could do it. Because I do think crime mysteries are just a very complicated genre, and I love different genres. I actually in my I got my college degrees in theater and film, and I did my thesis on story genres. So I really just love genre, and I just think it's such an amazing combination of genres, because you have crime, you have the mystery, but then you have the coming of age, maybe a little romance, maybe a lot of different little elements. So it's crime mystery usually is like packed with really cool genre elements, and I like that.
Great. All right. I'm going to hand it over to you, and we'll hear your live read. Thank you.
So I'll catch you up a little bit.
Okay.
Dee and her friend Gretchen they're on their way to the 5K race that in Deering Park in Portland, and they get sideswiped by two cars, and they think it's just road stupidity accidents, and the cars take off. So they're kind of like, she's a little bit on edge and mad because it was her car that she loves more than anything. But Gordy calls and says that a client is coming into the office, and she's got to come over there, so she can't be at the race. And she goes to the office. She picks up donuts for them, and then here we are. The buzzer sounds. I move back to the reception area and open the door. Kevin Knorr has a side part Boy Scout haircut and serious eyes behind dark framed glasses. He wears a tailored overcoat, black wool slacks, and shiny Oxfords, but the tiny person standing next to him in a blue blazer, gray pants, and a bright yellow V-neck sweater and pocket handkerchief has him beat in the buttoned-up category. The only telltale nods to this small person's age are his bowl-cut hair and scuffed red Converse sneakers. D, Kevin says, I'd like to introduce Czar Sans Meckler. The kid's got big brown eyes and baby fat in his cheeks. He takes in my notebook and pen, spells his name slowly. It's Z-A-R, in case you're the one who takes notes. And here's my card with my contact information. Thanks for helping me out, I say, slipping the card into my jacket. Gordy waves us into the office, and I make the introductions. You're a Meckler? Asks Gordy. Sans Meckler. Yes, sir. Gordy's chin recedes. His lips purse, a reaction to the Meckler name. How old are you? Gordy asks. I'll be 12 on Thanksgiving. Czar notices Bert, tenses. Is he a good dog? Yes, he is. Gordy whistles softly, and Bert moves under the desk, settles on the floor. Czar sits in a high-backed chair. His feet don't touch the ground. Kevin takes off his overcoat and focuses the conversation. You probably saw the paper this morning about the shooting in the Sans Meckler home. Czar would like to talk to you about his desire to help his mother. I reach for the Portland Press Herald on Gordy's desk. See it. Top fold. Shooting in West End Garden. Suspect in custody. This must be what Malio was talking about. Czar pipes up, matter of fact. The police say my mom shot and killed the person who takes care of our garden, but she didn't. They only think she did it because she said she did, but she didn't. Those of us over the legal drinking age share quick glances. I scan the newspaper, grab a few details. Victim was in his 20s? Czar fills us in. He was a mountain climber before he was a gardener. His name was Benny. Benny what? Czar's shoulders rise and fall. I didn't ever ask. Gordy leans in. Did your mother say why she shot this Benny? Czar holds firm. She didn't do it. I grab a soda from the mini fridge and offered it to Czar. What can you tell us about the incident? Our housekeeper, Dolba, she was at the dentist. I was on a Zoom class on my computer with my philosophy tutor. He looks at the soda. Those are bad for you. I can't drink that. Fine, that's fine. I put the soda back in the fridge. Czar continues. I'm here to see if I'm in the right place. My mom and I need to be on a plane 9 days from now, so we don't have a lot of time. It's important to be on that plane. I glance at the calendar on the wall. 9 days from now is the 22nd of November. It must happen then. It's important, Czar says. I look to Gordy. He's doodling. Want to tell us your side of the story? I ask. Just before noon yesterday, my window was raised because I like cool air when I'm in class and thinking. My mother called to me. She was standing in the garden, and she asked me to come down. So I joined her. Benny was on his stomach by a pile of leaves, and there was a lot of blood and a hole in the back of his neck. I look up from my note-taking. Czar's posture remains rigid. His voice doesn't waver. Sorry you had to see that, Kevin murmurs. Czar swallows, but his face remains inscrutable. Gordy prompts, then what? Czar continues. We wondered who to call first, the police or the ambulance, but I pointed out to my mother that a person doesn't need an ambulance if their body no longer has a heartbeat. So I called 911. That was the right thing to do. Kevin continues his support. Gordy grunts. Calling 911 can get you both, usually. Where's your mother now, I ask. Czar takes a piece of paper out of his pocket. 50 County Way. That's the Cumberland County Jail, I say. Czar squeezes his small hands together. If you prove she didn't shoot Benny, she wouldn't stay there. Should be released. That's right, I tell him. That's the truth? Yes. That's what we need, for her to be released. I tried to get in to see her. I put in a request verbally by phone, and I was told no. And then I wrote it in a letter, and I took an Uber when Dolba was vacuuming. I presented the letter, but the guard told me to go away, that I needed a lawyer to help me. So I went home. Dolba was not happy with me. Who's Dolba? The housekeeper. She's in charge. He goes back to his timeline. Then I used the internet and my preferred search engine to find a lawyer, and landed on me, Kevin says. Gordy studies Kevin's business card. How'd you choose Mr. Knorr? First, I looked at the faces on the websites and chose the ones I thought would take me seriously. Just faces? I interject. How did you determine? Gordy puts his hand up. He wants Czar to have the floor. Czar continues. You can get a lot from faces. And then I read the bios. Mr. Norris said he attended Hampshire College, which is forward-thinking, loose in structure, but selective and smart. Ken Burns attended Hampshire College, and I like his documentaries on PBS. My mother does too, but she thinks sometimes the emotion of the story can be wrecked with overlong information dumps. But I tell her that feelings should emerge from the viewer, not the storyteller. Restraint gives the audience a chance to not feel manipulated. Who is this kid? Gordy clears his throat. You chose Mr. Knorr because he went to the same college as a filmmaker named Ken Burns. Don't know his work, admits Gordy. You should, Czar advises. I'll put that on my list. Gordy frowns, not used to being told what to do by an undersized know-it-all. Czar takes a deep breath, forges on. That was the second ticking point. Then there was Mr. Knorr's choice of law school, American University in Washington, D.C. It was founded by two women just before 1900 because at that time it was difficult for women to get into law school. My mother told me that women are still at a disadvantage when it comes to equality and respect. Czar looks at me. Sorry about that. It's as if he's taking personal responsibility. That was the third ticking point. That was the third ticking point. Czar gets back on topic. The fourth is that Mr. Knorr has a son who's attending Rolling Hills boarding school. Kevin has a son? Gretchen never mentioned that. Does she know? That's where I attended school before I was asked to leave. You were asked to leave? Gordy rubs his forehead, not sure he wants to get into another convoluted explanation, but wanting to know wins out. Why? I didn't want to be where I wasn't wanted. Czar tightens the knot on his tie. Filippo Knorr is a year younger than me, but we both had Xboxes and share an affinity for the Avengers. But then he moved to San Juan in Puerto Rico with his mother, says Kevin. She was born in San Juan. Czar continues. I FaceTimed Filippo and asked him to text his dad so that Mr. Knorr would be inclined to see me right away. Gordy presses. Young man, did it really come down to you recognizing the name Knorr when you used your preferred search engine and realized your friend's father lived in Portland and you saw that as an opportunity? Yes. Czar pushes his tongue to one side of his cheek. It causes the skin to jut out. But the other things are important too. I can stop or I can go on. I don't know what the time is.
No, keep going. No, keep going. Okay. I'm enjoying this. Everybody else, I hope, is enjoying this. Keep going. I'm loving it.
Gordy taps his fingers on his desk. He does this when he wants out of a meeting. But the growing details in my notebook, relevant or not, niggle at me. The crime's violent, the aftermath odd, mostly because of Czar's stalwart belief in his mother's innocence. I want to keep him talking. Czar, what's your name short for? Some guess Zarathustra. You know, the Persian prophet. The who? Asked Gordy. Czar turns to Gordy. Have you seen 2001 Space Odyssey, the Stanley Kubrick movie? I first saw it last year and now I've watched it 13 times. Thus spoke Zarathustra as a piece of music used in the movie. It was inspired by a novel by Friedrich Nietzsche. Gordy looks weary and leery, as if a strange talking insect has crawled into the office to spout random information. I jump in. I had to read Nietzsche in college in philosophy class. Seemed kind of complicated. I push towards a definitive answer. Is there a family name? He won't be sidetracked. This Persian prophet, according to Nietzsche's story, was the first person to point out that the fight for truth against evil is the driving force of the world. He preached that morality is the highest virtue and truth must make up morality. He reminded everyone that absolute truth and honesty is very hard for people to commit to, but it's a worthy goal. He glances at me. What's complicated about that? I pretend to take notes, but I'm spelling annoying. Maybe I'm mad my professor never put the theory so succinctly. Maybe I'm moving over to join Gordy's opinion. And to comment on your question, Zara says, turning to me, I believe naming a kid after a family member increases expectations and causes too much pressure. But I'd like to get back to why I'm here. He takes out a savings booklet from Camden Bank. I had to have a signature to access these funds, but Mr. Knorr can work on that. Will you help me? Gordy looks at Kevin, wanting to blame someone for this precocious kid's request. Mr. Knorr suggested G&Z Investigations. Well, he told me about 3 companies. Zara takes his cell phone from his pocket. It's housed in an Avengers case featuring slick cartoons of Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and Hawkeye. He opens a link, brings up a site. My mother told me about numerology last Christmas, and I've been studying it. G is the 7th letter of the alphabet, and Z is the 24th. That adds up to 31. And that number relates to creativity, honesty, and practicality. He shows us his phone. Perfect combination for a service like yours. Kevin adds, I also told Zara that I knew you, Dee, that you knew a special friend of mine, and that you were resourceful. Each fact informed the other, Zara says. He rubs his cheek. Just like November 22nd. It's 2 days before I turned 12, and the year that has 3 2s in it. When you add all the 2s, it's a prescient thing about when we have to take the plane. We need to get to Vienna. It's going to be a good place for us. I'll stop there.
That was really good. Thank you so much. I enjoyed that. I'm going to put up some comments. A lot of people enjoyed your reading. We all did. Here's one. Tina says she loves it. Tina Rose sounds great to read. I saw a couple of keep reading when you asked if you should keep going. Here's one right here from Karen. But cool. Yes, that was really, I'm very intrigued. I enjoyed that a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
How long does it take you to write one of the books?
To write a book? The books?
The ones in the series, 9
yeah,
and 10.
10 days took me a little bit over a year because I had to stop to do something else for a couple of months. And then 9 days took me a little less than a year. And I'm going to try to finish 8 days in 9 months, just because I do have all these books to write. And I think 1 a year is just not going to get it done. So.
How many pages are in the books?
It's about about 95,000 words. So
wow, they're big books.
Yeah, page-wise, it's
300 something, 300 pages.
300.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I'm going to go back to some questions here. I enjoyed that read. Thank you. It's still in my head. All right. Renee's asking, are there any other authors in your family?
Well, I think my father would have loved to have done it. He was a lawyer. And when I started writing in high school, I'd write these plays and we'd put them on and stuff. He took me to his office one day where he had a big box in his closet and at his office. And he said, maybe you'll want to read this someday. And he just took out, he wrote these, he was a very serious man. I mean, he was like, he always dressed in black and, our dinner table, it was like, I have 5 brothers and sisters and we got to the dinner table and nobody talked. It was like my dad sat at the front of the table and that was it. You just ate and then,
No talking at the table.
Yeah. So he gave me this box and he had written these really funny plays. The one that I remember the most, and I have them still in storage, they were written in longhand, but the one that I remember, it was called The Tennis Court Mystery, or Nets to You.
Wow.
It was just a silly, but it was, it was a whole different side to my dad. But other than that, no.
Did they ever get published?
No.
His books?
No,
Do you still have them?
Yeah, I have them, and they're just longhand on yellow legal pad. Yeah.
Right.
So, so he never tried to do anything with them, but he obviously he just sat down and had fun writing them sometimes.
Of course, yeah. Wow, that's fascinating. I wanted to put this up about Portland. We rented an Airbnb in Portland for our 50th anniversary, and it was awesome.
Yeah, good.
I've never been to Portland. And then I saw one from Kathy. Of course, I can't find it now. She said that she stopped at a Starbucks in Portland. I guess Portland is a big town.
It's about 100,000 people. But that includes a lot of like littler areas. The Portland downtown area still has brick streets and old brick buildings, and there's a lot of history here. I live right next to Fort Allen Park, and then right down the road are the shipbuilding areas where they built the ships for World War I and World War II.
Wow.
And there's cannons out my window, and I mean it's very, very. Portland was just very active in all the wars, the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812, I guess. So, yeah, it's got a lot of history, and people are very proud of it. But there's like really great restaurants, and there's some very, very wealthy sections, and then there's a lot of blue collar sections. And I live on a hill that's by the old wharfs. And so I look out my window, I see the ferries going to the islands, and it's just gorgeous.
Sounds beautiful. Tina wants to know if your family members read your books.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They're really supportive, which is really, really nice. They're all business people. They're lawyers or bankers. So I was always kind of the weird sibling that went off to Hollywood, and now they're really enjoying the book, so it's really nice.
That is nice. Now, do they get to read the book before it's published or after? After. Do you get any kind of feedback? Do you have a beta team or a review team before you publish the book?
Yeah, when I get to about 100 pages, I give it to my husband, and I say, please read this. And if he wants to know more, then I go, okay, I can go on. He might have some little comments where he might be confused or something like that. So he's a really good beta reader. And then I have a really good friend in California who just loves crime mysteries. That's been her genre all her life, and she reads it. And then I'm in 2 writing groups. As a writer, I find writing groups to be so helpful. I have one that's just 2 guys. And they're brutal. And then I have another group they still have great suggestions and comments, but they're a little bit kinder. And so it's kind of a nice balance. I kind of go, okay, I'm going to go to the brutal guys tonight, and they'll go, oh, what are you doing here?
So when you're with the writing group, you actually read from what you're working on, and they give you feedback? Is that how
we send pages to each other. About up to about 4,500 words, and then we get together and comment. We don't read aloud at the writers group.
Okay, and you meet in person or online?
We met in person all the time, and then the pandemic, so we did online, and now we're back to meeting in person.
Oh, nice, excellent. And someone was asking, I won't be able to find it, but I'm sorry, I apologize for your name, but they were asking if you have a favorite place to write.
Well, there's a coffee shop in Portland that I go to every morning. It used to open at 4 a.m. pre-pandemic, but now it opens at 6 a.m. And so I joined the cops and the lobstermen and the other early morning people, and I work there. And then I might go to another one called Porthole, or I'll go to Coffee by Design, or I'll go to Miss Portland Diner. And so I usually go to 2 places in the morning. And then so I work from 6 until about 9 outside. And then I come in and I do changes, put them in the computer, because I work longhand usually at those places. Mm-hmm. And then I have, in the midday, there's some lovely places to go get glasses of wine in Portland and do some more writing. So I work at home and then I work out, and then I work at home and then I work out.
It sounds like awesome places to write. And you obviously don't need silence to write in. You have the atmosphere of the Maine and the forts. I love it.
Yeah, I actually get more work done out of the house, because if I'm here, I go, oh, well, maybe I should clean, or maybe I should cook, or maybe I should do this and that. So it's good to get out with nothing else. Oh, and the libraries here are amazing. In one of the libraries just got a really great renovation during the pandemic, and it's a fabulous place to work.
Oh, good. Excellent. Well, thank you. When you're not writing, what do you like to do? We know you like to relax with the movies and reading, but do you have any other hobbies that get you away from the writing if you need a break?
I used to play pickleball a lot, and I need to get back into that.
Pickleball.
Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America.
I've never played it.
Tom Brady just bought a professional pickleball team. It's kind of a combination of tennis, squash, badminton. I don't know. It's really fun. It's just very fast paced.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, I'd love to go to concerts. And then my husband has a boat that in the summer, can't do it in the winter. So I'll go out on that sometimes.
Nice.
So
excellent. Paula Miller asked, would you like to write a book with another author?
I don't think so. I find writing with other people, it's just, I've written some academic books with my academic career. I've worked with a couple of writers, other academics on books, but it was just divvying up what we were writing about and then pushing them all together. Because if a book gets in you, then that's all you think about. And I just like to do it myself, because
you have your own way of writing.
Yeah, it's hard.
That makes a lot of sense. And then Joyce is asking, have you been a guest author at your local library?
I've been a guest author at a couple of the local bookstores in Portland, and I'm going, yes, this summer I was at Booth Bay Library, and then I think in January I'm going to be at South Portland Library. So I'm just starting. The libraries seem to be opening up now,
right?
Because Mondays came out, pretty much, during the pandemic. So the libraries are starting to open up. So that's great. Yeah, actually. Oh, and the Osterville Library in Cape Cod, I've been there too. That's a great library.
Nice. Okay, now back to the books. Book 10, 10 Days and 9 Days. I know that 9 Days has just come out in September. When will book 8 be out?
Well, if I can get it done, and if Panda Moon is willing to, I don't know, it's like, it's part of it, a lot of it's on me, and then it goes into their hands.
Right.
So, writers don't usually have a really good sense. Once your book is done, they'll give you a date, but since I don't have it done yet, I don't know.
You don't know yet. Okay, and then the series, I saw it on Amazon, and it's available wide, Barnes and Nobles and everywhere,
right.
and Kindle and Nook. all those places.
Yeah, and also a local bookstore, if you have a favorite independent bookstore that you go to, or here at Sherman's or Books A Million even has it. And if they don't have it on the shelf, if it's out or whatever, they can usually get it in 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, they can order it, and you can probably just go in and pick it up.
Yeah.
I've done that with a few books. So, one last question. This has been so much fun talking to you. I really enjoyed this, but I do want to ask you, and I did see it. I can't remember who it was, but I did see the question too. But for someone that's starting out as a writer and wants to publish the book, or maybe be a screenwriter, what advice can you give them?
Well, you just have to write and feel confident that you have a voice and that you have something to say and that your story is valid, and don't second guess yourself. I don't know, maybe some people don't do this, but I know I do. Sometimes I go, oh, what do I know? I'm not, what am I doing? And, but you just have to kind of go, no, I mean, we each have a voice and it's valid and we have stories to tell. So you just have to kind of grab onto that confidence and just do it every day. And then, there's lots of places to go. Once you have something complete, because it's hard to get anybody to look at something if it's not done, or at least a really good first draft. Once you have that, then there's lots of websites and stuff of like how to query a agent or a publishing company but I would say just write. And if there's possibility to do get some writers together in your community and support each other, I find that very helpful.
That's great advice. Great advice. This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed chatting to you, and you are doing a giveaway. So I want to thank you for that. And you've asked me to pick a winner for you, which I will gladly do. I usually do around 8 o'clock my time. You might be in bed by then. But it is for our live audience that has been here watching us live. They took an hour out of their time to listen to us and listen to us talk about books. So I will pick a winner tonight.
Great.
So thank you. And what is the giveaway?
Well, they can tell me whether they would like the first book, 10 days, or whether they would like 9 days.
Okay.
And you can do it via Kindle or ebook or paperback.
Great. And the paperback will be signed?
Yes, of course.
Yay. Okay. And then I'm going to do the giveaway that I do all the time. And it is for a $5 Amazon gift card. Most of you know how to do this. You need to go to my author page and share this video. Share it with your friends, your book club, wherever you want to share it on Facebook. And tag me so I know that you've shared it. And anyone that does share the video, you are entered for the $5 Amazon gift card, which I'll also announce tonight. So, ladies, Jule, this has been a lot of fun, and I'd love to have you back when 8 days comes out. So we'll have to figure that one out, and I'd love to have you back, and you can give us some more insights on the series. I'm going to give you the last words if you want to just say goodnight to our readers.
Well, thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for all the questions. It was wonderful. Got me thinking. So thanks. And I look forward to sending one of you the book.
Yeah, and if you have time, I know you're a busy lady, but I'm sure there's some questions that I missed. Feel free to go into the video on my author page and the group and scroll through the comments and answer any questions that we might have missed and you guys answer.
Great. I'll do that.
Okay. All right. And everyone that's here tonight, thank you so much for joining us. And I will see you soon and announce the winner. Thank you, Jule. It's been a lot of fun. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.